On September 1st, 1939, the planet Earth was plunged into a second world war. The world had been on a free ride for 21 years, ever since the Great War in Europe, in which so many men, coined by Gertrude Stein as the Lost Generation, had died in order to end all wars forever. Americans had plunged heavily into the stock market, buying, and never selling. The price of stocks soared way above their actual value, yet people kept on buying. Women shortened their hair and their skirts. The waltz went out and hot jazz came in. You couldn't buy a bottle of whiskey legally, but you could buy it illegally on every street corner. Men plastered their hair down like Rudy Valentino and called themselves sheiks and their dancing partners shebas. Everyone was having a wonderful time doing the Charleston on the brink of a volcano. Then the volcano erupted on October 24th, 1929. Overnight, fortunes were wiped out, men and women thrown out of work, factories shut down. Everybody stopped saying boop boopy doop and started singing, "Brother, can you spare a dime?" The Great Depression, or the Great Slump, as it was known in England, set in. Among the places hit hardest was northern England, with places like Yorkshire and Cumbria dwindling in coal mining. Northern Ireland and Scotland, known for its shipbuilding, also suffered heavily. Stockbrokers jumped out of their office windows, men without work went on the bum, and lived in hobo jungles. In America, men sold apples 2 for a nickel on street corners of cities like New York. Veterans, who had been promised a bonus that never materialized in cash, marched on Washington to protest, and were shot at by General Douglas MacArthur and his troops. Veterans in Britain also suffered. Times were hard, but things were quickly looking up thanks to Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his New Deal. There were no more soup kitchens, no more bread lines, only work and a worker's pay. America and England began to cheer up. They sang, "Just around the corner, there's a rainbow in the sky. So let's have another cup of coffee and let's have another piece of pie." They sang, "Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?" And they meant the Depression, which was starting to lift a little. By 1939, things were pretty much back to normal. But in the midst of this, another volcano was erupting in the heart of Europe. That volcano was Germany, England and America's most hated enemy. Germany was so bitter over losing the war that they did what anyone would do, find a scapegoat. Within a few days, Kaiser Wilhelm II, stripped of his title, was sent into England and the Netherlands, and anti-Semitism was reaching an all-time high. One Austrian, a former painter-turned-social leader, Adolf Hitler, promised to avenge Germany's defeat by joining a right-wing party known to the English tongue as the German Workers' Party. By 1933, it was transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party for short. The Germans, or at least those who had great respect for Hitler, began to cheer up when they saw Jews, Africans, people with disabilities, homosexuals, Catholics, Romanis, leftists, members of Jehovah's Witness, and too many others to count, relocated from the cities and into concentration camps where they would be put under hard labor or killed in the deadly gas chambers. Some were executed by firing squads. Continental reaction to Hitler's ideology was incredibly mixed. The United Kingdom and France wanted peace. Spain had just concluded a civil war. The fascist countries of Italy and Hungary were sympathetic to the Nazi cause. Romania joined forces, and the rest of Europe was so sick of Hitler's ideals that they all wanted to stand up to him and fight his forces head-on. By August of 1939, Germany had annexed the Rhineland, Austria, the Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia, and signed a pact with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, all without firing a single shot. But it was the invasion of Poland that broke the last straw for everyone. The British government issued an ultimatum to Germany for the withdrawal of the troops from Poland, but Hitler was quick to reject it. 2 days later, Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister, gave a solemn speech to the people of his country. It began like this. "This morning, The British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany. England did its part by sending 400,000 men, which together formed the British Expeditionary Force over to France, but they were no match for the Germans and quickly retreated back home via Dunkirk, Calais, Cherbourg, and other French ports. By June of 1940, 40,000 French and English troops were all that remained of the great Allied armies. Many men went to find work elsewhere, some menial like railway guards.